Welcome back to MLC Talk, powered by Willow Sports. We're episode number 7, and my goodness gracious, have the playoffs kicked off in dramatic fashion. We had the rain to get rid of one playoff game, but I feel like tonight more than made up for it, fellas. I'm Aaman Patel, here with Nate Hayes and Zee Zaidi. Z, we just saw an incredible matchup between MI New York and the San Francisco Unicorns, where the dream is still alive for MI New York.
Unreal. That was a low-scoring match, but possibly the most exciting match of the season in terms of like the back and forth, and you really didn't know who had that in the bag.
Yeah, it was incredible. I've had a feeling it would be when San Francisco, of course, they fell behind early in the first innings. It didn't look like they were going to put together any type of total, but they scrapped Xavier Bartlett. What a player he is. He gave them a fighting chance there, and I thought that the game was on at that point, especially when the covers come on in the break. And then once we get past that first 5 overs in the second innings, it was you realize it was going to be a 20 overs game, and my gosh, there was so much drama in that game. It was so beautiful.
And the conditions for me was what really set the game off, because when they did the toss, it was a scorcher of a day. And by the time ball 1 was bowled, everything had cooled down really 15 degrees cooler. It felt like it. It was cloudy, it was windy, and I saw Trent Boult with a new ball, and I said, oh boy, this could be a day for MI New York with the ball in hand, something we haven't really seen for them. And he got it to move straight away from ball 1, gets Tim Seifert, gets Jake Frazier McGurk, and then at the other end is a left arm spinner of Nosh Kinjige, Matt Short, Sanjay Krishnamurti, and you thought, wow, 4 gone, no Finn Allen to join this attack, and this team needs a lot of work. And for me, the play of the day, truly and honestly, was the run out from Nicholas Puran of Hassan Khan to get him gone for not having played just 1 delivery. He was a New York killer. The last time he saw them score 30 off just 9 deliveries, and we know what he brings. If he bats on, they probably get to 150. That run out to me was such a pivotal moment in that game.
That's the second time that we've seen a big run out earlier in an innings from MI New York. The last game, Nosh had one early. That's going to come into play a lot. These big fielding plays you saw later on in the game, how much fielding mattered, how much saving runs mattered ultimately in a low scoring game like this.
Yeah. But that moment, I'm glad you brought it up, right? Hassan Khan gets run out, and they're like 16 for 5, right? Like in the 5th over, right? 5 wickets down, and they have 16 runs on the board, right? And at that point, like a lot of people are like, this is done, right? How do you come back from this, right? I was talking to a couple people in the press booth, and not to toot my own horn here, I was like, look, they have what it takes to fight back. I think if they just have one partnership that anchors the innings, they can get it north of 100, maybe to 120, 130 territory. It's an if. But if they do, maybe they can defend it. But, talk to me, Nate. You were watching closely. How did they get from that, like, basically abyss of 16 for 5 to putting up a score of 131? It was kind of a mini miracle, even though it didn't pan out in the end for them.
Well, yeah, it absolutely was a mini miracle, but we've seen this team depleted by injuries. They're missing actually 4 very important players to this team right now due to injury, I believe.
Wait, Corey, Harris, Finn Allen, and Romario Shepherd.
But one thing they don't seem to be missing is depth in their batting. They hung around, they needed a big over or 2, and then they got that because of a strange decision, I think, from Nicholas Puran, the 13th over, bringing in Nosh from the other end, from the end with the wind to the batter's back. And it really took the wind out of the sails for MI New York, who went from basically this inevitable crushing victory to Xavier Bartlett fighting and scoring 27 runs in the over to give them a fighting chance, because at that point it took a lot of the pressure off.
Well, I don't want to let that point go, because I thought that was ridiculous. Like, we were there when we saw it happen. Like, those of us in the press box were like, what the hell is he doing here? Right? Like, why is Nosh bowling from the other end? And this might not end well, right? So, I mean, what do you like? Why would anyone even make that decision?
Yeah, it was. I think weird was a great way to put it. It just felt that they were out of options. We saw 2 overs of the Jinder Singh, and they just didn't know where to go really in terms of who to bowl and where to bowl them. I didn't mind where the wind was. For me, it was the fact that there's clearly a short side of the ground with the wind. So
Yep.
you force Nosh into a corner, and he's gotten rather predictable now. He has to push it out wide. He's only got one area to really bowl at. And that really goes into Bartlett's favor because if it's not in his hitting zone, the next thing he loves is just the freedom to open up his arms. And with it having to be at the wide line, he doesn't need to go leg side. He can go straight down the ground as long as he can just extend his arms. He's got so much power. I don't think there was a lot right with that decision. You were better off trying to find an over of Kyron Pollard here. Really was probably your only other option because you needed to save a Trent Boult, a Rushil Agarkar, or Tristan Luce. So I'd rather have seen a Pollard. Even a Bracewell would have been dangerous, but I don't think Nosh was the play there just because he had to be very predictable in the manner in which he was going to bowl.
And you mentioned Pollard's name. This is a guy who's played more T20s than anybody in the world. And to me, he's the ideal captain for the team. I don't want to put down Nick Perron just because of this one decision.
Yeah, it was weird. And by the way, Nosh without that over was 3 overs. He had what 17? He gave up 17 runs in 3 overs until then, right? With 2 wickets,
Yeah.
2 early wickets, right? He and Boult struck early. He had an incredible spell going, but that was just weird. Now, when we come back, we can turn to the other innings, right? And what happened there, which was a ridiculous chase. Okay, so when the Unicorns ended their innings, they were 131 all out, right? They didn't make it to 20 overs. They were in the 20th over. When, by the way, we have to give credit where credit's due. Our boy Rushil took 3 wickets at the end, right? Hamad, Brody, and Liam Plunkett, and just shut the door on them. Then we started what was the most insane chase of I think this season so far, right? Nate, you were watching closely. Well, I mean, take us through what you saw in this chase.
Well, when the covers had to come on at the break, the question became, can we get this through the first 5 overs of the chase? Targeting the Duckworth-Lewis, all that stuff comes into play. And you saw MI New York come out very carefully to start the innings, probably a little bit too carefully in retrospect, just trying to get to that. Hey, if the game washes out now, we've won on Duckworth-Lewis. Well, that kind of put them in a rut right from the start. They didn't lose wickets early on, that's for sure. They did pretty good.
No.
But they just didn't score. They didn't get in any kind of scoring rhythm.
Do you agree? This is one thing I was like questioning. Do you agree with opening with Monank and QDK? Was that what you would have done?
Well, I mean, I think that's totally fine with the way both of them have done. I mean, it's tough to challenge that decision. Obviously, QDK is going to open with Monank opening with him. Monank's second in runs right now. He's been very reliable. I think the situation suits him. If you're gonna be careful, we know he's a proper player who's going to play the ball where it is.
Yeah, my take was, again, easy sitting in the box, but I was like, you kind of want to go out hard really quickly and make it. If it does rain again, you want to be well ahead of the DLS, right? You don't want to be dancing around the lines, which means go out and have a very, very aggressive power play. And you know what? If you lose a wicket or 2, that's fine. San Francisco lost 4 in the power play, so you're doing okay. And it seemed too careful. Like some of us were saying, well, why didn't Puran open with him, or why didn't even Kyron Pollard open with him, right? But whatever. That's one of the reasons I'm not the coach and I'm not the captain. Worked out for them in the end.
I do think if you do something like that and it doesn't work early on, now you've upset your batting order. I think that's something to consider.
So okay, so Monank and Quinton went out, and they had like a decent partnership going, right? But then it faltered. So, like, what did you see happening in the middle?
Yeah, I think that I actually enjoyed Monank and Quinton opening, to be honest with you. I thought it made sense to actually be a little bit more careful to start, because the wickets just take that required number of runs upward and upward, right? One down would have been 29 at the 5 over mark versus the 25, and then from so forth would have meandered. It just felt the rain, as it started to get absorbed in the wicket, was starting to add a little bit more grip, but initially there was a bit of skid, and neither neither Quinton de Kock nor Nicholas Putin really reacted to the skid very well. I thought Quinton de Kock really, after the six, played a shot that he premeditated the rundown, expecting it to turn away, and just kept coming back in, and then Putin just playing well ahead of his body. And I saw that, and my brain went back to last year. I went back really to July 18th, 2024, and it was the game between the Unicorns and New York in Dallas, and the Unicorns put up just a measly 148 in that game and defended it against New York. And Matt Short took away the left-handed opener Ruben Clinton, and then took away the captain Nicholas Buran. And in
Yeah,
that game, MI New York was 79 for 2 in the 10th over. So I sat there and thought, this could be a game the Unicorns can drag out because it's starting to grip. Hassan Khan had a big part to play in that game last year. Thought he might have another big role in this game. And I thought that New York, without a lot of runs in that batting order, outside of really Michael Bracewell, the Ginger Stings had the one innings, but nothing substantial outside of the big 95. Felt this could get real close down to the wire. I just felt that the Unicorns needed to just continue to be ruthless, and they could turn on that switch. And so the more this was going to meander, the more this was going to go on, the more it seemed like the rain was going to stay away and we were going to get a result, the more evident it became to me that we were going to be pushing until that final over, and that we were going to have a real worldy of a finish.
Matthew Short, he was basically like a right-handed Akil Hussein in this game.
yeah.
Like that arm ball that he had was coming in. It was getting on them real quick during that time period when he was bowling it. And honestly, there were a couple of balls where it looked like he could have taken a fifer. There were a couple of times where someone would try to cut it late and they just get the bat on it, and you just really felt like every single ball that he bowled was dangerous.
Let me ask you guys a question. What confused me about this innings that that MI New York put together was I couldn't tell what their strategy was, right? So on the one hand, if your strategy is okay, take it deep, right? Take singles, go for maybe 5, maybe 6 runs and over, right? Keep going, right, until the very end, and then accelerate towards the end. Fine. But you look at the shots that Monank and Pollard got out on. You remember those?
Mm,
I was like,
yeah.
why'd you do that? Right? Like taking on Matt Short, Monank's case, and then Chiron taking on X. Like, I was like, well, aren't these the bowlers you're supposed to see off? And they were unwise shots. And so that didn't gel for me. I'm like, if you're going to go deep, go deep. If you're going to be a hero, be a hero. But it was just a weird mix.
Yeah, 100%. I think for me, a lot of it came down to conditions and the tricky nature of Grand Prairie, in the sense of you expected to get much better to bat, and you thought it was going to
Yeah.
come on nicely and you could go through, and you've become very accustomed to that. In Monank's case, he scored a lot of runs in Grand Prairie. Paulie's done the same thing. But the problem was, as it continued to cool down and you started to see dew, you also had a lot of moisture in the wicket. So it just got a little bit too paced, and they just weren't sure whether to go or not to go. And I think a lot of times in T20 cricket, in particular, in modern day T20 cricket, you almost are stuck in one rhythm, and it's hard to move yourself beyond what you expect the wicket to do. And certain balls would come on really nice to the bat. We saw a couple that just raced onto Monank Patel's blade, and he was able to get it away. And then there were a couple times where we saw it stick. I think the one to Polly is a great example, where it just kind of held in the surface fraction more than what it would have done. And so that rain came in, and again, I thought Hassan Khan was brilliant, starting to build pressure. And then I think that probably put more pressure on the minds of Patel, from Polly, from maybe someone like a Michael Bracewell, to say, oh, we got to take something on, we have to make something happen, because this Hassan Khan guy is going for 4 for 17. That can't happen.
On that note, right? Like, they start to put together an innings, right? Bracewell's kind of like holding them through the middle orders. And then, courtesy of Hassan Khan, they start dropping like flies, right? So here we are towards the end of the game, and we're thinking, oh man, now looks like the unicorns have this in the bag, right? Like, talk to me, guys, about a certain Hassan Khan and the game he had, which was nuts.
Oh man, like they mentioned on the broadcast, we haven't had a fifer from a spinner yet in Major League Cricket history. He almost had one today. Short could have had one too. But Hassan Khan came in, man, he almost shut the door, I should say. But he didn't. The crazy thing to me is he went from absolutely dominating the innings to, I mean, you're watching Nosh come in. I think I texted, wouldn't it be amazing to see Nosh win the game here? And they still needed more than a run of ball. I think they needed 30 or something, or 20 or something like that.
I think they needed 19 off 11 the last couple, right? Something like 19 off the last 2 overs.
I think it was right. Yeah, I think they were. Yeah, I think they had 6. Something like that. And Boult just fired off 2 6. He's been the weirdest player this whole league. Like, we know how amazing he is. We know how amazing Trent Boult is with the ball, and he's a great fielder. But in this league this season, he's done some really weird things that we don't usually see from him. His running has been atrocious a couple of times. He's made a couple of weird fumbles in the field that are not like him at all. And then in this game, he just blasts 2 6s at the end. He took all the suspense out of the game.
Yeah, I mean, look, not just the 19th over, right? To me, is the story of the match. So he's there, like they take a 2, then he takes Hassan Khan deep for 2 6s, and then like a freaking like a Caribbean striker, or like a Chris Gale, or like a Pollard or whatever, he's like, I'm not going to take singles, right? And so he just said no to 2 possible signals. Like, no, Nashi, you stay on your end. They took the single on the last ball of the 19th, so he could keep strike, right? Like he was so in command and so like on a mission to end the match.
Yeah, 100%. And I know we're talking about Trent Boult, and he won the player of the match, and he deserved it. But I can't go past Hassan Khan here. Didn't score any runs today, but he took 4 wickets. He was 4 for 17. Got blasted in the final over that he bowled. But the more you watch this guy play, and the more I sit here, and I think he's the best player in the country. Full stop. If we were to have an entire reset of the league, and I had the number 1 overall pick, I know he is the deepest position we have. We are filled with left arm orthodox spinners, and we can go down the list of great guys that can make an impact anywhere. But I'd have a hard time not taking him. What he does with the ball is second to none. What he does with the bat at 6, at 7, at 5, can come in and blast the ball away, can build innings. And then when he does in the field, he might be the fastest guy out there and save so many runs. I'm infatuated with this guy. As soon as he's come into the States, he's lit it up. He's only 26 years old as well. This is a guy who just continuously makes strides and should become eligible, maybe, hopefully, right before that World Cup.
I think he already is, right?
No, he's not already eligible. No, not already. He came in 23, so he still would have another year left at minimum.
Yeah, till 26.
So,
okay.
We'd hope that it's right before that World Cup, because if he's eligible, send him straight into the 11. This guy is unbelievable. I think there's an argument to be made that he's the best player in the country.
He stopped 3 runs on that diving. The diving stop to his right at point, which was that was a remarkable play. The ball, he just stuck in his hand. That was a great diving effort that he made there. He's got the effort. He's got the athleticism. He's just incredibly good. Like you said, Aaman, put him right in the team as soon as he's eligible.
Yeah, and look, if you just look at this analytically, look at the league and the team construction analytically, right? You have to have 5 domestic players on the field, right? International players, there's a lot of them, right? So they're kind of fungible. Like they're interchangeable. Like I can go sign like 7 great international players and then I'll get great players. Domestic players, there's a lot of variation, right? Which economically makes the domestic players, good domestic players, incredibly valuable, right?
Yes.
So Hassan Khan, by that logic, is the most valuable player in the league, right? To a team, because you have to have 5 domestics on the field, and he is by far the best domestic, right? All the full package. Period.
Agree with you.
End of story.
The stage is set, and for a third time in a single season, it's El Clásico. And for the Texas Super Kings, they've been there before. They've been at this challenger. They were there this time last year and failed to get over the line. New York, they're back in this game. They were here in 23, and we know how that went. They are 2 games away from somehow, some way, becoming the first 2-time champions of the league. Guys, this is going to be electric. Z, starting with you, what are you looking for here in this challenger?
You know, I'm looking for a dominant performance by Texas, right? They're in form. They are super rested, right? They didn't have to play a match yesterday because it rained out. They're getting another day of rest. Like these guys haven't been, other than Faf Sniggles, they haven't had like injury issues. They should be full strength and they're hungry. I think they're going to come out really strong. And look, we just talked about it for a long time. Like, I think they got a little lucky in this game, right? It wasn't by any stretch a dominant performance. And I think MI's got to get his bats figured out. His bowling attack, like we said, it could come together. It did, but I think their batting, save for Trent Boult saving them at the end, was collapsing, and they need to pull that together if they're going to get anywhere in this match. Otherwise, it's probably going to be Texas all the way.
How about you, Nate?
Well, I think one of the cool storylines here is we got Faf versus Monank, and there's 8 runs difference between them at number 1 and 2 and the runs leaders. And who would have thought we'd be saying that a domestic batter was 8 runs away from leading the league? So obviously, to me, it's whoever wins this game, that guy, Faf or Monank, is going to probably go on to lead the league in runs, unless somehow they both do terribly in both of the, and then he still win. But but yes, I think that's a really cool storyline. Very interesting to me. I favor Texas, but has New York sorted their bowling out, or was that a fluke innings that they just had today? And what are the conditions going to be like? All these things are great questions to think about.
Conditions are a great question. Will it be more the same? Will it be very cloudy, overcast to give Trent Boult that advantage, or will it be sunny and can Faf have his say? One prediction for you. I think it's going to be a new opening pair for MI New York. It'll be Dekak and Puran to try to keep Akil Hussain out of the power play and negate the left arm spinner. All things we'll have to wait and see Friday evening, and we'll be back in action then. El Clásico Part 3, who joins the Freedom in the final.